यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरन्दन मोनतीरावनचारी जय राधमाधवा अंगविहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा नील माधव श्री राधे। जय गौरनिताय श्री गौरनिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद्भय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा गोप गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन धाम की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण। We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 17, text number 37. The chapter title is Punishment and Reward of Kali. Tanme dharma bhritam shreshtha sthanam nirdeshtum arhasi yatraiva niyato vatsya atishtham ste anushasanam. तन्मे धर्मभृतां श्रेष्ठ स्थानं निर्देष्टुमर्हसि यत्रैव नियतो वत्स्य आतिष्ठंस्ते अनुशासनम्। Tat, therefore, may, me, dharmabhritam, of all the protectors of religion, Shrestha, O chief, sthanam, place, nirdeshtum, fix, arhasi, may you do so, yatra, where, eva, certainly, niyataha, always, vatsye, can reside, atishtan, permanently situated, te, your, anushasanam, under your rule. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Therefore, O chief amongst the protectors of religion, please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. The personality of Kali addressed Maharaj Parikshit as the chief amongst the protectors of religiosity, because the king refrained from killing a person who surrendered unto him. A surrendered soul should be given all protection, even though he may be an enemy. That is the principle of religion. And we can just imagine what sort of protection is given by the personality of Godhead to the person who surrenders unto him, not as an enemy, but as a devoted servitor. The Lord protects the surrendered soul from all sins and all resultant reactions of all sinful acts. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Om Namo Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Dam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Barijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. With the blessings of their lordships Shri Shri Radha Nil Madhav, Shri Shri Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada and all the other acharyas and all the assembled Vaishnavas, all my superiors, I would like to take the blessings before I speak on this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I think every day the context, I think so many devotees would have been giving, so I'll not again spend time in giving the context. So we all know that Kali is being now threatened, not just threatened, because he was actually wanting to even kill. Parikshit Maharaj would have killed him if he would not have actually surrendered. So at that time, but Kali, what there it is said, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions in one of the previous verse, he says Kali was very intelligent. So that's why just 2 verses before it is said he trembled in fear. So though whether he actually was fearing, but it is said that he was very intelligent. And because sometimes those who are cunning, actually also when they want to escape, they must be very intelligent. From police or from any slaughter, they must be really very intelligent. So Kali was very intelligent. So he trembled in fear and he showed as if he is very afraid. And immediately after that, he bows down to Parikshit Maharaj. And there it is said, Parikshit Maharaj was completely qualified to accept that shelter. That means he was the one who could actually kill all the miscreants all over the planet Earth. That means he was having that much strength and power. And But still, he accepted the surrender of Kali, and then he gave him fearlessness. So last time also, I think we were. I had got a similar verse there. We are also hearing how Lord Ram also exhibited this. So there it is said, Sakradeva prapanno yas tava asmi ticha yachate abhayam sarvada tasmai. So that means he was giving abhayam. That means a person, as soon as he surrenders, they'll never be killed. That's what Prabhupada is also mentioning, that he gave him complete fearlessness. Jai Shri Radha Nil Madhav Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Srila Prabhupada ki. But the kind of surrender that Kali actually showed was not a very genuine surrender, that he did it from his heart. But he just did it as a show. But even we can see just a mere show of surrender to an exalted personality or a king like Parikshit Maharaj, who was a great devotee, even that mere false surrender actually relieved him of the greatest danger which he would have actually undergone. And he got a shelter also. He could stay in the kingdom. Can you imagine just a false surrender which was shown by Kali? He could get so much. Then Prabhupada writes in the purport. Then what about if a devotee serves and surrenders to the Supreme Lord, what can he get? So that's what Prabhupada is saying. So that means the kind of surrender that is shown is a very false surrender. It has a ulterior motive behind it when he is serving or when he is surrendering. But that is not the kind of a surrender which a devotee does to the Supreme Lord. There is a great difference. Now, what is usually said is, usually in the Bhagavatam, the unique quality of a devotee is he has his interest one with the Supreme Lord. That's when he is actually considered as a devotee. But if sometimes he may have mixed interests, then he is called as a mixed devotee. If he has a mixed interest, he is a mixed devotee. If he has a one interest with the Supreme Lord, he is considered to be a pure devotee or a Kevala Bhakta. So there, we all would know the discussions which Kapila Dev had with Devahuti Mata. So there, very amazing verses come. I'll just recite. So where I was just mentioning, the devotee has no separate interest than the Supreme Lord. Then the actual surrender is actually have a great feat, and that is considered to be a true surrender. But any other surrender which is mixed with some other motives, that is not considered as a that is not considered as pure surrender. So in this connection, Kapila Muni, when he is mentioning to Devahuti the different types of bhakti, he mentions 4 types of bhakti, and in that 3 are mixed, 1 is pure. So he gives a very detailed analysis of that. So I thought I'll just recite those few verses and how it mentions the distinct interest that a devotee has separate from the Lord. So this is one verse. First one he mentions. You all can recite. Abhisandhaya yo himsam dambham matsaryameva va samrambhi bhinnadibhavam mayi kuryat satamasaha. So here it is said, Abhisandhaya yo. Abhisandhaya means he is having a vision. What is that vision? Himsam. He has a vision, even though he is performing bhakti. So this is not considered as he is a atheist. He is a bhakta, but his interest is what? Bhinnadrag bhavam. His interest is not in the same line as that of the Lord. He may be performing bhakti, but he has some other interests, some other motives, some other desires which he wants to achieve along with performing bhakti. So what are those interests? Himsam. He may want to do violence. Now, in currently the Kashmir files is on uproar everywhere. So much of the violence that has happened so many decades before, I think 2 decades before, that violence is actually on 2 decades, 3 decades, 1990. So 3 decades before that time, whatever the violence that has happened at that time, so now devotees also may now, especially it is said, all the so much of Indians, they actually have some amount of devotion also, but when it is now for protecting, now of course surely we should understand and we should also do something needful. uh, Recently I was also here, just I heard 10-minute talk of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So really very amazing talk which Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gave on this movie. He was mentioning that exact very amazing statement. Tolerating the tolerance. So very amazing statement which was mentioning. The tolerating the truth actually destroys both tolerance and the truth also. That means, can you imagine, so much of violence has happened and it has been covered up. And that violence has actually what, in a period of time, it will actually also destroy the tolerance. And it has already destroyed the truth, and it will also destroy tolerance. That means tolerance actually is a virtue, but that virtue is going to be destroyed eventually, because that tolerance is being misused by people, and so much of violence is being committed. So why I mentioned this, so this has its perspective. Now that also should be understood, but at the same time, when we are performing our bhakti, that himsa, we should know that that himsa has its place for certain, when in this society, when dharma has to be protected, that violence has to be used. But at the same time, when we are doing bhakti, that himsa has, we should know what is its place and should not be used anywhere indiscriminately. So everyone should not think, now I'm let me take the position of Parikshit and let me punish everyone. So, and let me take the role of Yamraj. So that should not be the mood. So abhisandaya hyo himsam dambham matsaryameva va. So, and also when dambha is there, pride, and matsarya, when these qualities are there, sambrambhi also means angry. So when these qualities are there along with performing bhakti, and also one does bhakti in either to enhance or to act in with these motivations, then one's bhakti gets covered over with tamoguna. That's what is mentioned. And then the next verse, Vishayan abhisandhaya yasha aishwaryameva va archado archayed yomam pratak bhavasarajasah. Vishayan abhisandhaya. Now he is performing bhakti, but he has a motive of, he is looking with a vision of Vishaya. Means everything he perceives it as an object for him to gratify his own desires. That means because it is said, we also know a same womanly form. Okay, it is perceived by different people in different ways. A dog sees the womanly form as just a flesh, and kamuka, he sees as an object of enjoyment, but a child sees her as mother. So the same object or the same person is viewed differently by different people when there is when it is seen with the motivation. What is the motivation? Based on that, the vision also gets formed. So here it is said Vishayan abhisandaya. Everything they perceive is what? As an object for my gratification. Vishaya. They see it as a Vishaya for my enjoyment. And they see it as Yasha. And they think, no, I need to get some Yasha and Aishwarya. Now they may do Archada Archaye Yomam. They may do worship also, but it is Prithak Bhava. There is a separate interest, because of which it becomes Rajasa Bhakti. So next verse. Karma nirharam uddishya Parasmin va tadarpanam yajed yashtavyam iti va pratag bhava satvikah karma nirharam uddishya. His uddesha means the motivation. What is it? Karma nirharam. I want to destroy everything, all the karma that is binding me with this material world. He wants to destroy. Parasmin va tadarpanam. So he does every activity to offer the fruit to the Supreme Lord. Yajed. He does yaja. And then yashtavya, yagna or puja, everything he does. So for that sake, so prutak bhava, he has that separate interest of destroying his karma, which is making him bound to the material world. So that is sattvika bhakti. So that's what is mentioned. Now, so everywhere, all these three categories of people, so they have a separate interest. Now, very amazingly, after that, he mentions about this kevala bhakti or ahetuki bhakti, which has completely no separate interest. They have one interest with the Supreme Lord. So now I'm going to recite this full verse. So you all can tell me what, which words in this verse actually signify that there is one interest. Okay. Mad guna shruti matrena mayi sarva guhashaye manogatir avichinna yatha gangambhasum budhau lakshanam bhakti yogasya nirgunasya hridahritam ahaituki avyahita ya bhakti purushottame. So avichinna manogatir avichinna yatha gangambhasum budhau ahaituki avyahita. I think Austin covered everything. Anybody else also wants to? Yatha gangambhasum budhau. That is, yeah, like just like a Ganga river that is flowing. So the qualities are mentioned: avichinna and ahaituki and avyavahita. That is means not separated. Avyavahita. So matrena is just mad guna shruti matrena. They are just absorbed in my gunas, like that. So so in that sense, this guna is called as what? Nirgunasya hi udahritam. This bhakti yoga is called as nirguna bhakti. This is what Kapila Muni is saying. So that means devotees have this one interest. So that's why it is said. So the surrender means what? It is said, stop becoming thief. So usually this I had just heard, I think from Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj. Once when he had come to, I think one of the lectures in Bangalore, which Prabhuji was Maharaj, that time Prabhuji, Devamrit Prabhu, he was giving. He said, stopping, when one desires to stop becoming thief, that means he is trying to surrender. That means what? He is not wanting to, that's why it is said, in the beginning, surrender means what? Just doing what is being told. That is the meaning of surrender. But over a period of time, it just doesn't reside there. Actually, it also evolves. There it means that one stops actually becoming, starts to stop claiming proprietorship, enjoyership, or controllership. When one tries to avoid trying to claim these three portions of existence, where one wants to enjoy whatever he has, and also when one wants to own and want to claim proprietorship over it, and when one wants to have controller mentality. At that time, when one wants to avoid all this, that's when actually surrender also evolves. But if you see in this case, Kali is not giving any pay or attention to any of these subtle aspects. He is just wanting to fall at the feet and expecting great benefits also. He is wanting to rescue his life, but actually his surrender is just a show bottle surrender. He is trying to just rescue his life at this moment. So for that sake, he is ready to do anything. But he's keeping his mentalities as the same. So that's why he was asking for a separate place also. So at that time, but at the same time, we can see the glorious nature of Parikshit Maharaj, that he is even giving accommodating. He is accommodating even Kali. So last time, I think Bhagavad Prabhu was mentioning about Prabhupada, the 5 amazing qualities which Prabhupada exemplified as a leader. In that, one of the quality was what, if anybody remembers in this connection, it is accommodating, giving a space. So Parikshit Maharaj is giving a space for Kali. But of course, this is in, he's having his interest in line with the Supreme Lord. Because according to the Supreme Lord's interest, now Kali Yuga is supposed to begin. So he has to be given a place. So that's how he has his interest one with the Lord. But Kali doesn't have his interest one. His interest is separate. So that's what it is being mentioned. So now, in connection to this, I had been, I just remembered, there is a similar surrender which was shown by somebody to a devotee, and he was also rescued of his life. If any of you could remember, one demon surrendered. ವೃತ್ರಾಸುರ ಇಂದ್ರನಿಗೆ ಶ್ರಮಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನುಂಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಇಂದ್ರನಿಗೆ. ಮಯಾದನು. So actually this is a very wonderful pastime. I thought I'll just narrate. So what happens, Krishna and Arjuna, actually they come out to stroll in the forests, and at the time they were just beside this forest, and they were just sitting and they were relaxing. At that time, one Brahmana comes, very angry and very, he was thirsty and he was looking very fierce. At that time, he comes and begs to Krishna and Arjuna. He says that actually I'm actually very hungry, and I need some food to be gratified. So can you please arrange for something? He says. So then Krishna and Arjuna say, yeah, why not? So please tell, what do you want? We will arrange for whatever food you want. He says, the jungle which you are there standing beside, I want to devour this entire forest. I just don't want some food, ordinary food which you give anyway. I want the entire forest which I'm going to burn, and I want to eat. And he says that, and please know, I'm not an ordinary person, I'm Agni myself. And he says, and then Krishna and Arjuna become little shocked, and they think that why is this person wanting to devour the entire forest? And he says that actually one king performed a lot of the yagna, and in the yagna he put a lot of ghee. And because I had to consume that entire ghee, now a lot of indigestion has happened. So because of which I'm facing this problem. So then I went to Brahma to cure. So what is the cure for my this indigestion? So then Brahma said, there is this forest, Khandava Prastha, and which is being actually inhabited by many sinful entities. And also there are many herbs, medicinal herbs. So you can consume those medicinal herbs and your disease will go. At the same time, all those sinful entities will get destroyed. And then, so Agni goes in the past, before approaching Krishna and Arjuna, he would go and he would want to engulf entire forest. But that forest could not be engulfed, because as soon as he would go for engulfing, Indra would shower rains. And he would go engulf, again he would shower rains, and his whole endeavor was getting spoiled. And then when he asked, why is Indra showering rains? Then he said, because there is a snake living there in that forest, Takshaka, and he was a friend of Indra. So, and Indra, Takshaka had gone and taken shelter of Indra. At that time, just to protect him, Indra would keep showering rains. At that time, now Agni had no way out. So he comes to Krishna and Balram, Krishna and Arjuna, and he says that I know you are not ordinary beings. You are none other than Supreme Lord and incarnations of Naranarayana. So you need to give me shelter now and arrange for this forest to be burnt. And then they both agree. And after that, but Arjuna and Krishna, they say that we don't have any weapons or chariot which is suitable for doing this task. At that time, Agni says, don't worry, I'm going to arrange. So then he takes Arjuna and he goes to the abode of Varuna. And that is the place where Arjuna gets the Gandiva bow. The precious Gandiva bow was actually gifted by Agni to Arjuna. And he takes that, and also he arranges for his quivers. It is said Arjuna's quivers were never empty. It was always filled. So he gets those quivers also. And at the same time, he gets a chariot, which is unconquerable chariot. So then this chariot and this all the gifts, and also the Kaumudiki, the club for Krishna, was also given there. And then so with all that full set of weapons and chariot and all the things, whatever is required, they come. And then Krishna and Arjuna, they start. Krishna was a chariot driver even that time. And Arjuna was sitting. And Arjuna, it was so amazing that Arjuna shot arrows in such a way that he covered the entire Khandava Prastha forest with arrows, and which blocked all the rains. Not even a drop would fall. So that much of strength, even that time, Arjuna actually had. He covered the entire forest, and he would keep shooting arrows in such a way. It is said Krishna would, with the chariot, he would rotate around the Khandava Prastha forest. And it is said the chariot had such a great speed, it could rotate with the speed of wind or mind. So anyone would look at Khandava Prastha forest, and always there would be this chariot visible. You go around any of the around the circumference of the Khandava Prastha, this chariot would be visible. That means Krishna was constantly rotating around the Khandava Prastha. And with that speed, Arjuna was also shooting arrows, and he blocked the entire Khandava Prastha forest. And after that, he started blazing Agni. And then Indra came to know, and he started showering rains. At that time, all the animals, they started flying, trying to flee. And as soon as any animal would go out of this arrows, immediately Arjuna would shoot, and all the animals, whichever were there inside, everyone was dead. And it is mentioned, all those animals, they were attaining their spiritual forms, and they were rising up because they were all shot by Arjuna in the presence of Krishna. And then, so all the animals were going, and then Takshaka, actually he was not there in that forest at that moment, but his wife and son were there, and they were killed, and Takshaka was out. So finally, so this entire forest was burnt, and then Agni was actually satisfied. And then after that, Indra also becomes actually very angry. So in the meantime, which I did not mention, in the meantime, what happens when Arjuna was actually covering the forest? We hear now, just like there was a forest in the rains which were put on the Vraja forest by Indra during Govardhan Leela. Actually, Indra tries to put similar rains. Of course, not like Samvartaka, but he puts very heavy rains, which were also like trunks, tree trunks, they were falling like that on the forest. And after that, he sees that even that is not working. So he brings all the other demigods along with him. They charge towards Krishna and Arjuna. At that moment, when they were charging towards them, after that, Indra, seeing the prowess of Arjuna, he thinks, who is he? Who is he trying to fight? And then he understands, over a period of time, he understands they are none other than Krishna and Arjuna. And then immediately comes and falls at the feet of Krishna, and also he praises Arjuna. So very little different conclusion than what had happened in Govardhan Leela. So, but at the same time, Indra praises Arjuna's prowess like that. So once all this ends, Agni very much thanks Krishna and Arjuna. But at the same time, one demon who was underground, he was not there on the top of the surface, because top of the surface was actually burnt. He comes from underground and he is trying to flee. He is trying to escape. Immediately Arjuna catches him. At that time, when he was and after that, Krishna takes his Sudarshan Chakra and he was trying to kill, and he was trying to actually shoot that disc against this demon Mayadana. At that time, this Mayadana understands that now I have no escape, and immediately he comes and surrenders at the feet of Arjuna. He doesn't go and fall at the feet of Krishna. He comes and falls at the feet of Arjuna. And he knows that if I take shelter of Arjuna at this moment, he is the only one who can actually protect me. So then he says, please protect, and he falls. At that time, Arjuna understands that at this moment I cannot kill him. And then he himself tells Krishna, please don't throw your disc on Mayadana. So actually, even Arjuna himself asks Krishna not to throw the disc. That means even the power of a devotee is such that if anybody takes shelter of a devotee, he is on a much more advantageous side than when he takes the shelter of Krishna directly. And then after that, he says, because you have saved me now. Mayadana is saying these statements. He says, because you have saved me now, you please, and then he says, you please ask whatever boon that you want. He also asks, Mayadana asks. At that time, he says that I don't want anything from you. And then Mayadana, then Arjuna also says, if at all you want to do something to please me, you can do same thing to please Krishna. This is what Arjuna is saying. Because you want to do something to please me, you do the same thing to please Krishna. At that time, Krishna says that, okay, you want to please me? Then you please build a wonderful palace for Yudhishthir Maharaj. And then he says that you build this palace in such a way that this kind of palace should not be there in any of the three worlds. It should be so magnificent. And that's how the Indraprastha palace was built actually by Mayadana. And it was, that comparison is nowhere found in any of the three worlds. So actually we can see such a wonderful loving relationship that is there between Krishna and Arjuna, or Lord and his devotees, that they are in turn wanting to please each other. Krishna is wanting to please his devotees, and devotees' only goal is to please the Supreme Lord. So that surrender which is there between the Lord and the devotee is not an surrender which is found between a police and a thief. As soon as a police points a gun, the thief has to just raise his hand, and that is out of so much of fear. Now the Kali, which is showing the symptom of surrendering, is actually driven by so much of fear. But the surrender which is actually shown by a devotee in front of the Supreme Lord is out of so much love. So because so much of affection that the devotee has received, in turn he wants to give everything to the Supreme Lord. So, and in turn, what does the Lord want to give? He wants to please his devotees. For that sake, he's ready to do anything. So that much only I just wanted to share from whatever I learned or heard here and there. Any other devotee wants to just add or share anything, please do so. And I also think some devotees would not have actually online, I think would have had difficulties hearing in English. Hare Krishna. ಕೆಲವು ಭಕ್ತರಿಗೆ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇವತ್ತು ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಪ್ರವಚನ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು. ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಉತ್ತರವನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗಿದ್ರೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. Anybody wants to add anything? ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವತ್ ಪ್ರಭು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕೆಲವರು ಶರಣಾಗತಿಯನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಭಾವನೆಯಿಂದ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಪಟ ಭಾವನೆಯಿಂದ ಅವರು ಶರಣಾಗತಿಯನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮೊದಲು ಹೇಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಗುರುತಿಸೋದು? ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸಲ ಗುರುತಿಸೋದು ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಬಾಹ್ಯ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಕಾಣಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಾಹ್ಯ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅವರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಮೊದಲು ಹೇಗೆ ಗುರುತಿಸೋದು? ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎರಡನೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಆ ರೀತಿ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರು ಅವರ ಜೊತೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾ ಕೊಡಬಾರ್ದಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಭಾಗವತ್ ಪ್ರಭು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. ನಾನು ನನಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿರೋ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಉತ್ತರ ಆಳವಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ನನ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ತಿಳಿದ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದೊಂದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಕಪಟದಿಂದ ಯಾರು ಶರಣಾಗತರಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಮೊದಲು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಗುರುತಿಸೋದು? ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಹೃದಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಇದೆ ಅದು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನೇರವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಭಗವಂತನ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಯಾರತ್ರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಆಗ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಇದಾನಲ್ಲ ಅವನು ಯಾವ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅದು ತಕ್ಷಣ ಹೊಳೆಯುತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಭಗವಂತನ ದ್ವಾರದಿಂದ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆಯನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನಮಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, ದಿತಿ ಒಂದು ಅವಳು ಭಗವಂತನಿಗೆ ಇಂದ್ರನಿಗೆ ಕೊಲ್ಲಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಯೋಜನೆ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾಳೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಂದ್ರ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ? ನೋ ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಲೇಟರ್. ಹಿರಣ್ಯಾಕ್ಷ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಿರಣ್ಯಕಶಿಪು ಇವರಿಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ಇಂದ್ರನೇ ಕೊಂದಿದ್ದು, ಅವನ ಮೂಲಕನೇ ಅವನೇ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಭಗವಂತ ಇವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೊಂದಿದ್ದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ದಿತಿಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಂದ್ರನ ಮೇಲೆ ದ್ವೇಷ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇಂದ್ರನ್ನ ಹೇಗಾದ್ರೂ ನಾನು ಸಾಯಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವಳು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾಳೆ. ಆಗ ಕಶ್ಯಪನಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಕಶ್ಯಪ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಸಲ ದಿತಿ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು ಕಾಮದ ಭಾವನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಕಶ್ಯಪನು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸಲ ಕಶ್ಯಪ ತುಂಬಾ ಜಾಗರೂಕರಾಗಿದ್ರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕಶ್ಯಪ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಈಗ ದಿತಿಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ಕಾಮ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು, ಈಗ ದ್ವೇಷದ ಭಾವನೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಈಗ ದ್ವೇಷದಿಂದ ಆಚೆ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಯಾವ್ದಾದೊಂದು ವಿಧಾನವನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಆ ವಿಧಾನವನ್ನ ಯಾವ್ದು ಕೊಡ್ತಾಳೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಭಕ್ತಿಯೋಗವನ್ನೇ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಭಕ್ತಿಯೋಗವನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಅವಳು ಭಗವಂತನಿಗೆ ಆಶ್ರಯವನ್ನ ಪಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಳೆ. ಬಾಹ್ಯ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಶ್ರಯವನ್ನ ಏನೋ ಪಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಳೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಆ ಭಾವನೆ ಏನಿದೆ, ಮಾತ್ಸರ್ಯಮೇವವಾ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ತಮೋಗುಣದ ಭಕ್ತಿ. ಯಾಕೆಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಳ ಹೃದಯ ತುಂಬಾ ಹೇಗಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ಇಂದ್ರನನ್ನ ಅವನನ್ನ ಸಾಯಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ನನ್ನ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಸಾಯಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಭಾವನೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಅದು ಕಶ್ಯಪನಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. ಒಂದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಯಾರು ನಮ್ಮ ಆಶ್ರಯವಾಗಿ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಪಡೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನೇರವಾಗಿನೂ ನಾವು ಕೆಲವು ಸಲ ಕ್ಷತ್ರಿಯರಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಯಾರು ಅಂತಾನು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸಲ, ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇದರ ಆದಿಶಂಬರ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಭಾವನೆಯಿಂದ ಬಂದು, ಅವರು ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಾಗ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಸಿಟಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಭಕ್ತರನ್ನ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ನಮ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಈ ರೀತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಫೋಟೋ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ರೀತಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಪಬ್ಲಿಸಿಟಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರನ್ನ ಮೋಸನೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇರುವಾಗ ನಾವು ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಯಾವ ಭಾವನೆಯಿಂದ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋರು ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಆಶ್ರಯ ತಗೊಳಕ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅಂತವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ವರ್ತನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದು ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇದು ನಾನು ಈಗ ಈ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಪರಿಚಯ ಇರೋರು ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಇರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತವ್ರು ಇದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ತುಂಬಾ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆಗ ಭಗವಂತನ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆಯಿಂದ ನಾವು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೃದಯ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಿರ್ಮಲವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ನಿರ್ಮಲವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಆಗ ಭಗವಂತನ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆಯಿಂದ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ ಇದು ಸರಿಯಾದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿನೋ ಅಲ್ವೋ ಅಂತ. ಇದು ಒಂದನೇದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎರಡನೇದು ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಪ್ರಭುಜಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಹೇಗೆ, ಎರಡನೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಹೇಗೆ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಈಗ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರು ಈ ತಾತ್ಪರ್ಯದಲ್ಲೂ ಬರೀತಾರೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಕೆಲವು ತಾತ್ಪರ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಶ್ರಯವನ್ನೇನೋ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರದೇ ಆದಂತ ಜಾಗವನ್ನೇನೋ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿತ್ ಮಹಾರಾಜರು ಇರೋ ತನಕನೂ ಕಲಿ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಅವರ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ರೀತಿಯ ಅಧರ್ಮದ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿತ್ ಮಹಾರಾಜರು ಇರೋ ತನಕ ಆಗೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವರೇನೋ ಇದ್ರು, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವರ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿತ್ ಮಹಾರಾಜರ ಅವರ ಎಷ್ಟು ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆಯಿಂದ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆಡಳಿತದಿಂದ ಆ ಕಲಿಯ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಅಧರ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಸ್ಥಗಿತವಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಳೆಯೋದಕ್ಕಾಗೇ ಆಗಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿತ್ ಮಹಾರಾಜರ ಆಡಳಿತ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಆ ರೀತಿ ಇತ್ತು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರ ಕ್ಷಮತೆಯು ಆ ರೀತಿ ಇತ್ತು. ನಾವು ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಿತಿ ಮೀರಿ ನಾವು ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾರಿಗೂ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮಿತಿ ಮೀರಿ ಆಶ್ರಯವನ್ನೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಅದು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾವೇ ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮದೇವರಿಗೆ ಹಿರಣ್ಯಕಶಿಪು ಅವರು ಬಂದು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನನಗೆ ಯಾವ ವರ ಕೊಡಿ, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಏನಾಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು, ನಾನು ಅಮರನಾಗ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮದೇವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀನು ಅಮರನಾಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನೇ ಅಮರನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅವರು ಬೇರೆ 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 ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಪರ್ಮಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಇಂದ ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನನ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಯ್ಬಾರ್ದು, ಆ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಯ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ. ಆಗ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮದೇವರು ಆ ವರವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಗ ನರಸಿಂಹದೇವರು ಬಂದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀವು ವರವನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಿನ್ನ ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಅಂತ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ವರ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಆಗ ನಮಗೆ ಅದು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಅದು ನಾಶ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿತ್ ಮಹಾರಾಜರು ಅವ್ರ ಕಲಿಯನ್ನ ಆಶ್ರಯವನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ರುನು ಆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಕಲಿಯನ್ನ ಅವರ ಅಧೀನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕಾಯ್ತು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಕಾರ್ಯವನ್ನ, ಅವರ ಅನ್ಯಾಯದ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳನ್ನ ಅವರು ಬೆಳೆಸೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಆಶ್ರಯವನ್ನ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೊಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಆ ರೀತಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅವರನ್ನ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಆ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿರುವಂತದ್ದು. ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ.
ಯಾವ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಆ ಶರಣಾಗತಿಯನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬಹುದು. ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಯುದ್ಧ ಇನ್ನೇನ್ ಮುಗಿತಾ ಇದೆ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಒಂದು ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಸೋಲ್ ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ, ಆವಾಗ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟವನು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬನಿಗೆ ಆ ಶರಣಾಗತಿಯನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಅದು ಕೇವಲ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಭಯದಿಂದಾನೇ ಹೊರತು ಅವನು ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಿಂದ ಅವನ ಪ್ರತಿ ಶರಣಾಗತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಹೇಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಬೇಕು ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಂದ್ರಿಂದ, ಆವಾಗ ಬಹಳ ವಿನಮ್ರರಾಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಂದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಶರಣಾಗತಿಯನ್ನ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬಹುದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವರ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಮುಂಚೆ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು, ಸತತವಾಗಿ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ವರ್ತನೆಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆವಾಗ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ನಂಬಬಾರದು ಅಂತ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ನಾನು ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ಮುಂಚೆನೂ ಹೇಳಿದೀನಿ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಪೃಥ್ವಿರಾಜ್ ಚೌಹಾಣ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೊಹಮ್ಮದ್ ಗೋರಿ 17 ಬಾರಿ ಅವನ್ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. ಸೊ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಆವಾಗ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಮನುಧರ್ಮ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಮ್ಮೆ ನೀವು ಆ ರೀತಿ ಶರಣಾಗತಿನ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಸತಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕಂಡು ಹಿಡಿದಕ್ಕಾಗದೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆವಾಗ ನೀವು ಮನ್ನಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಅವನನ್ನ ಕ್ಷಮಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಮನ್ಸೋದು ಅದು ಮೂರ್ಖತನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಶರಣಾಗತಿ, ಸುಳ್ಳು ಶರಣಾಗತಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀವು ಕ್ಷಮಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅದು ಮೂರ್ಖತನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ.
ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್, ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದಂತ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಕೌಸ್ತುಭ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರಾದ್ರು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಡ್? ಹೇಳಿ ಪ್ರಜ್.
First time he is going to surrender. Ravana never surrendered.
So so I'll just reply to that. ಸೊ ಭಾಗವಶಂರು ತುಂಬಾ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ರಾವಣ ಬಂದು ರಾಮನಿಗೆ ಶರಣಾಗತರಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ? ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಈ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಯಾರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು? ಒಬ್ಬ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಭಗವಂತನೇ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ರಾಮ ಆ ರಾವಣನನ್ನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಲ್ಲೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಸಮರ್ಥನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅವನಿಗೆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಸಮರ್ಥನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡುವಾಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಧಿಕಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಕೆಲವು ಸಲ ಅವ್ರು ತಪ್ಪು ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಅವರು ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಭಾವನೆಯಿಂದ ಆಶ್ರಯ ತಗೊಳಕ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ನಮಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಕೆಟ್ಟದನ್ನ ಸಹಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತದ್ದು ಶಕ್ತಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಸೂರ್ಯ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಸೂರ್ಯ ಈಗ ಮಲಮೂತ್ರಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಹೀರ್ಕೊಂಡುನು ಅದು ಅವರು ಸೂರ್ಯದೇವರು ಅಪವಿತ್ರವರ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಾವೇ ಅಪವಿತ್ರರಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೇಳಿ ಪ್ರಭು.
ಶರಣ ಕೊಡೋದು ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾವು ಶರಣ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಅದು ಆಶ್ರಯ ಯಾರ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು? ನಮ್ಮ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಭಗವಂತನ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಪರಂಪರೆ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಡಿವೋಟಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ರೇವತಿಪತಿ ಪ್ರಭುನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ನಾವು ಹಗ್ಗ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಒಬ್ಬರಿಂದ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾವು ಆಶ್ರಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲಿಂದ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಹಗ್ಗದ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು? ಹಗ್ಗದ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಹಗ್ಗ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಕೆಲವರು ಯಾರು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಬಿದ್ದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಶ್ರಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲಿಂದ ಕೊಡ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು? ಆಶ್ರಯ ಹಗ್ಗದ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ನಾ ಅದೇ ಹಗ್ಗ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀನಿ, ನೀವು ಅದೇ ಹಗ್ಗ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಹಿಂಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅದು ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಶ್ರಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಹೌದಾ ಇಲ್ಲ? ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ ಕಲ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಇದು ಆಶ್ರಯ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಸ್ಕಾನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಸರಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ರಿ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ ಕಲ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದು ಅಪಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಾನು ಐಡಿಯಲ್, ಈಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನನ್ನ ಆಶ್ರಯ ತಗೊಂಡವ್ರೆ ಐಡಿಯಲ್. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ನಾ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್? So one should ashraya should be clearly distinctly mentioned. Correct ಅಲ್ಲ? ನೀವೇನ್ ಅನ್ಸ್ತದ? ಒಪ್ತೀರಾ?
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಯಾರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ಪ್ರವಚನಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು ನಾಳೆ ಅವರು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಸಮಯ ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ, ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಕ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಶ್ರೀಲ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದ ಕಿ ಜೈ, ಗ್ರಂಥರಾಜ್ ಶ್ರೀಮದ್ ಭಾಗವತ್ ಪುರಾಣ ಕಿ ಜೈ, ಸಮವೇತ ಗೌರ ಭಕ್ತ ವೃಂದ ಕಿ ಜೈ.